Hello future doctors, welcome to my channel Rose Medical Lectures. I am Tania Rose Jacob. In this video, we are going to be discussing about the laboratory diagnosis of active pulmonary TB. Link of the previous lectures about the introduction, pathogenesis, clinical manifestations of this bacteria is given in the description box of this video. Please watch that and I hope that will really help you. Slides of all my lectures and the medical flashcards and many case discussions are available in my Instagram page. The link of my Insta page is also provided in the description box of this video. And come back to the topic. Laboratory diagnosis of active pulmonary TB. For the diagnosis of an active pulmonary TB, we should collect the specimen first, right? In case of pulmonary TB, sputum is taken as 2 sputum samples. First one is port sample which is collected on the same day. The second one is early morning sample which is collected on the next day. Laryngeal swab or bronchial washings may be also collected, but in majority of cases sputum specimen is collected. In case of children, the children may swallow the sample, so in case of children the gastric aspirate is taken as the sample. It's about the specimen collection in pulmonary TB. In the next video, we will discuss about the laboratory diagnosis of the extrapulmonary TB. In that, we will discuss about the the specimen collection in case of extrapulmonary TB. Now, we collected the sample, right? Next step is the digestion, decontamination and concentration of the specimen. Each of these steps has its own relevance. Digestion is to liquefy the thick pus cells and homogenization. Decontamination is to inhibit the normal flora present in that sample. Concentration is done to increase the yield. Here we are handling with bacteria, right? So we should do all these steps in a class 2 biosafety cabinet. Petros method is used for the decontamination and concentration of specimen. In this method, the sputum is mixed thoroughly with equal volumes of 4% sodium hydroxide. Then it is centrifuged and the sediment is neutralized with 8% hydrochloric acid. NaLC plus 2% NaOH is used for the isolation of this bacteria. NaLC stands for N-acetyl L-cysteine. The NaLC liquefies the sputum whereas 2% NaOH kills the normal flora, so that we will be able to concentrate on Mycobacterium tuberculosis. This method is more compatible with automated culture systems. When you are done with the digestion, decontamination and concentration of specimen, we just liquefy the specimen using mucolytic agents like formalin or hypochlorite and we do smear microscopy. The application of formalin or hypochlorite is not useful for culture or animal pathogenicity studies as the bacilli are killed. Next, we should do direct microscopy. It is performed by acid-fast staining. We know Mycobacterium tuberculosis is a acid-fast bacteria. There are various methods to perform direct microscopy by acid-fast staining. First one is Steen-Nielsen or Zeran technique. Second one, Quinon's coal acid-fast staining. Third one, Oramin phenol technique. First, let's discuss about the Zeran stain technique and what is the procedure for this. First, you make the sputum smear. Second step is add carbofucin to the smear for 5 minutes, which is basically a primary stain. Then you should heat the slide intermittently till the fumes appear. If you heat it, the mucolic acid layer of this bacteria get disrupted and dye get penetrated. Next step is decolorization. It is done with 25% of H2SO4 for 3 minutes. Final step is counter staining, which is done with methylene blue for 1 minute. After all these procedures, examine the slide under the oil immersion objective. The advantages of Zeran staining is the smear microscopy is rapid, easy to perform at the peripheral laboratories and it is cheaper. What about the disadvantage? The main disadvantage is the smear microscopy is less sensitive than culture, and this method cannot determine the viability of the bacilli. The Mycobacterium tuberculosis appear as long, slender, bearded, less uniformly stained, red-colored acid-fast bacillus. Acid alcohol can be used to differentiate Mycobacterium tuberculosis from Mycobacterium smegmatis in the urine sample. Mycobacterium tuberculosis is acid and alcohol fast, whereas Mycobacterium smegmatis is acid fast but not alcohol fast. The RNTCP, or Revised National Tuberculosis Control Program of India, has given the guidelines for grading the sputum of Z smears. The RNTCP grading is useful for monitoring the treatment response of the patients, to assess the severity of the disease, and to assess how much infectious is a particular TB patient. Higher the grade, more is the infectiousness. Smear negative patients are less infectious. Here you can see the RNTCP guidelines for the grading the sputum of Z smears. Second method is Quignon's cold acid fast staining. From the name of this method of staining itself, it's clear that heating is not required. It's called acid fast staining. So in this method, phenol concentration in carbolfuchsin is increased in this technique. Duration of carbolfuchsin staining is more in Quignon's cold acid fast staining. Third method of direct microscopy by acid fast technique is Oramine phenol technique. Basically, it is a fluorescent staining technique where it uses Oramine phenol as the primary stain, acid alcohol as decolorizer, and potassium permanganate as counter stain. In this fluorescent technique, the bacillus appear bright, brilliant green against the dark background. Smears are screened by using 20x objective, hence can be screened faster. It is used by the RNTCP in laboratories having higher sample load. Next, let's move on to the culture technique. Tubercle bacilli has long generation time, so the bacilli is slow growing. So it takes 6 to 8 weeks. Media should be incubated aerobically for Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and it should incubated in microaerophilic condition for Mycobacterium bovis. Mycobacterium tuberculosis grows luxuriantly, or it has eugonic growth. Mycobacterium bovis grows sparsely, or we can tell that it has dysgonic growth. Addition of 0.5% of glycerol improve the growth of tubercle bacilli but not bovis. Para-nitrobenzoic acid inhibit the growth of tubercle bacilli but not bovis. Tubercle bacilli are highly fastidious and grow only in enriched culture media. It can be solid media or liquid media. The various solid media are egg-based media like Algae media, Petragnonian Dorset egg media, blood-based Tarsus medium, serum-based Liflor medium, potato-based Poloski medium, and agar-based Middlebrook 7H11 and 7H10. Among these, the LT medium is widely recommended. Malachite green is a selective agent of LT medium. On LT medium, the tubercle produce rough, tough, and buff colonies. Rough means wrinkled appearance. Tough means it is difficult to remove. Buff colonies means it appear yellowish brownish color. On LG medium, the bovis produces smooth, moist, and white colored colonies which break up easily when touched. Agar-based Middlebrook 7H11 and 7H10 are preferred media for recovery of isoniazid-resistant strains of Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It's about solid culture media. Let's move on to the liquid culture media. Liquid media is used for drug sensitivity testing and preparation of antigens and vaccines. Examples of liquid media include Middlebrook 7H9, Salton media, etc. Virulent strains of this bacteria form long serpentine coats in liquid media, while the avirulent strains grow in a more dispersed manner. Advantages of culture media include: first one, it's more sensitive than microscopy. Second one, culture shows viability of a bacteria because only viable bacteria grows on a culture media. Main disadvantage of culture is it is time consuming. Let's move on to the automated culture methods. It have many advantages over the conventional algae culture. For automated culture method, we are using liquid broth like Middlebrook 7H9 supplemented with OADC enrichment growth media and Panta antibiotic mixture. Advantages of this technique is it detects the growth faster and it is possible for automated and continuous monitoring of the growth and has less contamination issues. The disadvantage of this technique is it is an expensive technique. There are many devices available to detect the growth of the bacteria. First one is BACTEC MGIT. MGIT means Mycobacteria Growth Indicator Tube. This method uses an oxygen-sensitive fluorescent compound dissolved in liquid broth. Initially, large amount of dissolved oxygen is emitted from the compound and very little fluorescence can be detected. We know this bacteria is aerophilic, so this actively respiring bacteria consume oxygen and finally oxygen get deprived. The absence of oxygen allows the fluorescence to be detected. The second one is BACT or ALERT. It uses the principles of calorimetric detection of pH change in the medium which occur due to carbon dioxide liberated by the growth of Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Calorimetric analysis is nothing but it is a method of determining the concentration of a chemical element or chemical compound in a solution with the acid of a color reagent. It is applicable to both organic compound and inorganic compound and may be used with or without an enzymatic stage. Third one is ESP system. Mycobacterium tuberculosis produce carbon dioxide and because of carbon dioxide production there will be change of pressure in the medium. The ESP system detects the change of pressure in the medium. The fourth one is BACTEC 460. It was the first semi-automated system developed. BACTEC 460 was based on the use of radioisotope to detect the bacterial growth. Hence it is not using currently. It is about 4 different automated culture methods. Next, let's move on to the chemical identification of this bacteria. Colony smears from algae bottles are stained to demonstrate the acid-fast bacilli. Let's see some of the tests to differentiate Mycobacterium tuberculosis from Mycobacterium bovis. Niacin test, nitrate reduction test, pyrazinamidase test are positive for Mycobacterium tuberculosis and negative for Mycobacterium bovis. Mycobacterium tuberculosis is resistant for TCH whereas Mycobacterium bovis is sensitive to TCH. TCH stands for thiophene carboxylic acid hydrazide. Now we see the how to differentiate Mycobacterium tuberculosis from Mycobacterium bovis. Next, let's see how to differentiate tubercle bacilli from non-tuberculous mycobacteria. First one is catalase test. Mycobacterium tuberculosis and Mycobacterium bovis are weakly catalase positive, whereas non-tuberculous mycobacteria are strongly catalase positive. One point we should remember here is isoniazid resistant strains lose their catalase activities. Aryl sulfatase test and twin 80 hydrolysis test is positive for non-tuberculous mycobacterium. Next, let's discuss about the serology. We know it is a scientific study or diagnostic examination of blood serum, especially with the regard to the response of immune system to pathogens or introduced substances. We have two methods over here, antigen detection and antibody detection method. The antigen detection method like Captcho-ELISA, dipstick and latex agglutination test are used for detecting the antigens such as lipoarabinomannan and antigen 5 in the sputum, urine and other samples. Antigen detection has very low sensitivity, so it is less popular. Antibody detection methods are no longer recommended in the endemic areas because of cross-reactivity with other environmental mycobacteria and variable antibody response against different isotopes. The molecular methods have several advantages, like first one, it takes less time than culture. Second one, more sensitive than culture. Third one, highly useful for extrapulmonary samples which are paucibacillary in nature, which means the sample having few bacillary load. Because molecular methods can detect as low as 1 bacilli per milliliter of specimens. Fourth advantage is it can detect the drug resistant gene. Fifth one, it is used for the epidemiological typing of strains, and some of the molecular methods available are nested PCR, probe based identification or line probe assay, transcription mediated amplification or TMA, and the strand displacement amplification or SDA, and nucleic acid sequence based amplification or NASBA, and ligase chain reaction LCR. Most accepted method is gene export or CBNAT, also known as cartridge-based nucleic acid amplification test. Advantage of CBNAT is it detects the bacteria, and along with that it also detects the sensitivity status of a bacteria to one of the first line drug in the treatment of TB called as rifampicin. So it does two things in one go. That is, it detects the bacteria and also it check whether the bacteria is rifampicin resistant, and it is a less time consuming process. In extrapulmonary TB, the sputum cannot taken as a sample. In pleural TB, we are taking pleural fluid aspirate, and you can see elevated AD and interferon gamma. And TB or CNS, we are taking CSF specimen, and you can see cobweb coagulum formation. It's about today's video. If you like my video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. Follow me on Instagram for these slides and the medical flashcards and many case discussions. Link is given in the description box. Check it once. If you have any doubts or suggestions, comment below. Thank you for watching. Take care.